Hey guys, check it out. You're watching Jonathan Clarke on YouTube. Oh no! It's really hard to believe it's been almost 2 months since the premiere of Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires happened, and people are still talking about Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires for how powerful of a story it was. It was the best story that a Zombies franchise had ever presented, and I think it was one of the most compelling, because you didn't know what was going to happen from one moment to the next. Everything really fell into place, from how Victor and Nova saw each other in their dreams ever before they met, to how Meg Donnelly and Milo Manheim passed the torch from them to a brand new cast and a brand new franchise embarking on an incredible journey. We don't know what's inside of that vortex. It remains to be seen and uncovered, but people are already speculating that it could be mermaids, it could be pirates, it could be witches, it could be sirens. Shout out to everybody making early predictions. I think it's way too early to assume what is inside of that vortex, but it is really cool reading your guys' predictions. Many of you will be teenagers by the time Zombies 5 drops, because they're suggesting a 2028 release window. I'll go for that, because it will give me time to meet more friends and people who love Descendants and Zombies just as much as what I do. I'm your host, Jonathan Clarke, your voice of Descendants and Zombies, here to help you make sense of everything Descendants and Zombies for the foreseeable future. And I feel so honored. This is the greatest honor of my life, to be able to sit in front of this podcast microphone and talk about Descendants and Zombies in the way I believe it's meant to be talked about for a very long time, because Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires did have its critics out there, and people couldn't shy away from talking about it so negatively. And I wanted to remove that from your lives. I wanted to replace it with good vibes. I wanted to present a friendly vibe for Descendants and Zombies fans that they knew they could trust in, because one of the very first promises I made when I showed up on YouTube for the first time last year was that I was going to upload Descendants and Zombies videos every day for you. And I have followed through on that promise, because I think one of the greatest things to honor is your audience, and to also establish a mutual understanding between each other for the passions that brought us all together. Because undeniably, Descendants and Zombies is a passion that brought us all together. So why criticize it? Why do so many people choose to criticize it? I think it has a lot to do with jealousy, and I will forever believe that it has a lot to do with jealousy, everything to do with jealousy, from the profound success story of Kylie Cantrell coming from a dance home, growing up in an atmosphere that was so supportive for Kylie Cantrell to achieve her dreams, Meg Donnelly's family, having no background in the entertainment industry whatsoever, coming from nothing, and to superstardom she went. Meg Donnelly has 253,000 subscribers on her YouTube channel. I wish I had 253,000 subscribers. Kylie Cantrell has over 1 million subscribed on her YouTube channel. Guys, can you lend me some of your subscribers? If you're a fan of Descendants and Zombies and you're new here, I would love for you to subscribe to join me on this incredible journey, because I think Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires was the most powerful script that had ever been presented for a movie in the Zombies franchise, and it was way far detailed than the other Zombies movies, because most of the Zombies movies that we had seen leading up to this point was just how Addison was trying to discover her place in the world in Seabrook. In Zombies 2, she discovered her origins of a werewolf. Her origins of an alien were discovered by Zombies 3. And now Zombies 4, they realized their calling, which was to become some of the greatest of all time, because that song, Legends in the Making, really helped me put my own life into perspective about how I wanted to go down in history for being the greatest of all time. I think that's what we all achieve to be in life, is something far greater than what we ever think we are going to be, and some of us have the honor of achieving that, and that is really something spectacular, I think. And I think Zombies and Descendants is the most powerful franchise or franchises to do this in what feels like forever. I remember being a huge fan of High School Musical and Hannah Montana years ago, and remembering how revered they were, and being there for the premieres of both Hannah Montana and High School Musical theatrically. I also remember the premieres on Disney Channel years ago of the High School Musical movies. High School Musical 2 was the highest rated premiere for Disney Channel in 2007, and I ultimately thought they were the greatest franchises of all time for their generations, but I think Descendants and Zombies has really surpassed the legacies of High School Musical and Hannah Montana because of just how popular they are. Everybody can't stop talking about the new chapter of Descendants coming out next summer, and I am incredibly excited about that, because we're going to see new storylines, new characters see the premiere into the Descendants franchise. And the cool thing about the Descendants franchise is there are so many fairy tale lands and fairy tale characters that have yet to see their introduction into this thing that could really make it an exciting time for everybody to be a fan of Descendants. The cool thing is, too, the fans of the new generation of Descendants are being reintroduced to the original Descendants cast and the original movies to kind of really fill them in on what happened and why Descendants came to be what it is. I really appreciate that, how the stars of the past, Dove Cameron and Sophia Carson, are still having a profound effect on this young audience, this very different audience who expect the most out of their Descendants and Zombies experience. We've seen everything from the Worlds Collide Tour have unprecedented success this summer, receiving unbelievable PR, and it was the greatest honor of my life seeing you guys show up at the Worlds Collide Tour and having having the time of your lives. That's what I wanted for you. That's what I wanted you to get the most out of your videos on YouTube, was to have fun. And from the very first video that I uploaded on this YouTube channel, all I ever wanted to do was spread a message of kindness, and Descendants and Zombies helped me do that. You know, I've provided commentaries on a lot of different niches over the years, but I can never remember providing commentary on a niche as powerful as this, which is why I made the decision to become a full-time YouTube creator and devote my life, for the rest of it, whatever I have left, to Descendants and Zombies. And if I go down in history for being remembered for being a guy who talked about Descendants and Zombies taking a chance on two franchises that meant so much to him, then I wouldn't have it any other way. Because what we leave behind after we're dead and gone is a legacy. And that's all I've ever wanted to leave behind in my wake, is that legacy that your favorite stars will never be forgotten. Because I think they've seen their fair share of criticism, and undeservedly so. I think if you're going to say something about Descendants and Zombies, what you got to do is you got to say something from your heart, with an open heart and an open mind, and speak to your fans with an open heart and an open mind. I don't know what's going to happen in Zombies 5. I don't know what's inside of that vortex, but I'm just like all of you. I'm incredibly excited to find out what's inside of it. Regardless if it's mermaids, regardless if it's pirates, there are so many ways this can go. And I live on an island, to make matters worse, that is affiliated and associated with mermaids and pirates all the time. I hear stories about them all the time, and I feel quite intrigued by it. And I feel quite intrigued that we would have never seen mermaids years ago enter a franchise such as Zombies, because years ago, when it was all about Twilight and the Vampire Diaries, it was pretty much a saga between werewolves and vampires and how they coexist. Now everything is in the Zombies franchise, which makes it incredibly different from any other franchise having anything to do with vampires and werewolves over the years. I remember how crazy people were about Twilight. I was there for that. I remember how crazy people were for the Vampire Diaries. Actually, Freya Sky, in one of her more recent interviews for Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires, actually brought up the thought of the Vampire Diaries and how she was a huge fan of that. And I was a huge fan of it too. If the Vampire Diaries had 200 episodes, I watched all 200 of them. If Buffy the Vampire Slayer had 171 episodes, I watched all 171 episodes of it. The thing was, I was a big fan of vampire TV shows, so when Zombies was first introduced to the Disney universe, I was incredibly excited to see what we were going to find out in the Zombies franchise. And we saw everything. From werewolves by Zombies 2, aliens by Zombies 3, and now vampires by Zombies 4. Not just one group of vampires, but two. Daywalkers and Nightwalkers. And the fans of the Zombies couldn't really understand why there were two different groups. The critics, I should say, on YouTube. And for the life of me, I don't know why they couldn't understand it. Perhaps they were just playing the dumb card and wanting to seem oblivious to the concept of Daywalkers and Nightwalkers and not really wanting to understand it. And I saw so many reaction videos where people just couldn't make sense of it. The concept was pretty basic. There was a group of vampires, Daywalkers, and Nightwalkers, and there was a confliction over the blood fruit. And there was a war going to ascend over the blood fruit. It was a very easy concept for us to understand. I think what it was that people just didn't want to give it the benefit of the doubt because of how powerful the music was, how positive the story was. It was one of the best stories ever for a Zombies movie. And I love the relationship between Victor and Nova and how cute they look together. That duet, Dreams Come True, really put into perspective how someone can find their true love even when they doubt themselves so much that it's impossible to find. And I think Descendants and Zombies has really encouraged us to be better people and to be there more for our friends when they need it, when they're in situations they can't make sense of or find their way out of. I think some of the most beautiful friendships have dawned from the Dawn of the Vampires movie and Descendants. I really do. The Rise of Red has really inspired people to become better people to each other and to be kinder to each other, and that's something that I can never seem to get enough of. Because I am a firm believer that there are never enough kind words said in this lifetime. There are never enough kind people seen. So all I've ever wanted to do was make a difference. When I moved into this house, it was a beautiful location, and I looked at it as a perfect opportunity to talk about Descendants and Zombies and really relay a message of kindness to each and every one of you. And while I go down in history for inspiring people to be kinder and to make more of their own lives, then I feel content with my accomplishment. I set out to accomplish a goal, and I will have achieved it. You know, I don't know how many years I have left as a podcast host, but I can honestly tell you that this has been the greatest honor of my life, having the honor to sit behind this podcast microphone to review Descendants and Zombies for the way it's meant to be reviewed for a very long time. I think these characters are very powerful, they are very strong, they're very fierce, and that's something that I got out of both casts for both franchises, but that these casts were significantly updated from the original cast. While cast members like Mal and Evie were there pretty much just to focus on their relationships and their place in Ordon, finding their place in Ordon, I think this new cast was a far more stronger cast, a far more fearless cast, and was out to be more adventurous than the original cast ever were. Because I think the focus of Mal and Ben's relationship, per se, in the original Descendants trilogy was pretty much all the movie focused on, and the conflict that Mal was faced with her rival in the movie, of course, Uma. I think that there could have been more emphasis on the original cast, and I think there could have been more emphasis on the story for Descendants, and it could have went further than what it did. By Descendants 3, they had to close the barrier, and they had believed they had told the story, and they had completed it. And as much as I respected that, I think there was way much more of a story to be told, with more characters to see their introduction into the Descendants franchise. By the time we got to Descendants 3, with how much emphasis was on Nell and Hades, and of course Hades being her dad, I think that Aladdin and Jasmine could have had significance in that point of the franchise rather than being introduced to us in Descendants: The Rise of Red. And there's also a lot of rumors about how Aladdin and Jasmine could have more to do with Descendants 5, which is something I would really go for. Initially, I was a huge fan of Alice in Wonderland characters having great significance in the Descendants franchise because I was a big fan of Alice in Wonderland. I remember reading the books. I remember watching all the original TV shows. I remember the Disney classic. I respect the hell out of Alice in Wonderland so much because this is a franchise that is incredibly beautiful. It is so inspirational. It's so full of life. It's so colorful. And I think this was a huge decision for the Descendants executives to really make. And I would have concurred with that. If I would have been at a board meeting for Descendants and the idea of bringing Alice in Wonderland characters into the Descendants franchise would have been presented, I would have been all there for it. And I would have been incredibly supportive of it. I would have had ideas thrown around the table about the Alice in Wonderland characters and the significance in the Descendants franchise because I think that they were definitely overshadowed by a lot of stuff happening with Red and Chloe. But that doesn't mean that it can't happen by the time Descendants 5 Wicked Wonderland happens. And there's a lot that can be told, yes, in a 90-minute script, but there's also more that can be told in more chapters of this. And I don't know why people were always shutting you down about the hopes of seeing Descendants 5. You just can't tell a story in just one movie and think it's completed, because there is still so much more of a story yet to be told. And it's a story that I'm incredibly excited to be a part of and to cover for you guys. If I have to make one Descendants video every day for the rest of my life, I have no issues with doing that, because I think that there is so much of an appreciation and a certain pride that goes with creating Descendants and Zombies videos. And if you don't have that certain pride and that dedication that goes with creating Descendants and Zombies videos, then your purpose is pretty much defeated for ever creating a Descendants or Zombies video. I can talk about this for the rest of my life because I love it so much. I loved all the scenes in Zombies. I loved how they shot scenes in the nighttime from about 7 p.m. every night till 5 a.m. the next morning. I had an incredible amount of respect for everybody who was a part of that production because I don't even know if I would have been able to do that. You know, I had a lot of vampire TV shows over the years, but I don't know if I would have been able to do or take it as far as what the Zombies cast did. I think it was a huge decision to switch up the locations from Toronto to New Zealand because there was so much open concept in New Zealand, and the scenery in New Zealand is incredibly beautiful. For those of you who have never had anything to do with New Zealand or never been there on a trip, I would highly recommend that you take yourself up in the opportunity to travel to New Zealand if you did, because everybody in New Zealand is so hospitable and so appreciative of everybody around them. So shooting Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires in New Zealand must have been an incredible opportunity for everybody, and I would have loved to have been a part of this production to experience it. I also would have loved to have been a part of the Worlds Collide tour to experience it. I would have even been Shrimpy. I would have went for that. I would have donned the Shrimpy role and donned the Shrimpy costume just to see your guys' reactions, because you had the time of your life at this concert. All you ever wanted to do was be a part of this production. All you ever wanted to do was be in the same spotlight as your favorite Descendants and Zombie stars, and that concert experience gave you the opportunity to do that. And I am forever grateful to Disney for giving you guys the opportunity to do that. So shout out to the Disney company for making all of your dreams possible. Summer 2025 will be a summer that will forever be remembered because of Descendants and Zombies, which is why I'm hoping for a sequel to this tour, because one tour is not going to do it justice. With the popularity of Descendants and Zombies, I think more tour dates next summer could be added into a second tour, and I think that more of a benefit of a doubt can be given to your favorite stars, because I think there is never enough profound credit given to these stars for how far they go above and beyond the requirements of a star to really bring this to life. I mean, Kylie Cantrell, ever since donning the role of Red, did such a fabulous job with her character and really bringing it to life. I think a far better job was done by her than was ever done by Dove Cameron, because Dove Cameron was just there for the opportunity to become a movie star. When she was presented with the opportunity to be Mal in the Descendants franchise, she jumped at it because she knew she had never been in other movies before as big as Descendants was going to be. And for the life of me, I don't know why people referred to it as an indie film. Probably it had something to do with the budget, because the budget of the first Descendants movies weren't that high. It wasn't, a $10 million budget that was dropped for the first Descendants movie. I think it was like $2 or $3 million that was allocated, and that's really not much to do with a movie when you have to have costumes, you have to have certain props, you have to have certain special effects. There's so much that goes into a movie that budget is allocated for. I think by Descendants 3, the budget became 10 million, so it was significantly higher because they realized the popularity of Descendants and how far they could go with it. But there's still so much more of a story to be told, and I think that this franchise could see a lot of things being set up for, like a passing of the torch moment in Descendants, where Pink could have her own story be told. I think that in Descendants 6, by the time we get to it, there's going to be a lot of emphasis on Pink and the introduction of her character in ways we have never seen before. And I am incredibly excited to see where we go from here with the confliction that she will present to Red's story, the confliction that she will present in Red's supposed love interest, because by the time you get to the book The Isle of the Lost in the Descendants book series, Red does have a love interest. So I'm really interested to see if they will go as far with that as they did in the book, because there's a lot of detail in the book that sometimes is left out of movies. The same thing can be said about Twilight years ago. The books were far more detailed than the movies ever were. But again, with every movie that's based off a book, there is so much detail left out of the movie that was in the book, and ultimately the book becomes the far better experience for you. So I would highly recommend before watching a movie you read the book, because you'll get more out of your experience reading a book than you will actually watching the movie. That's been proven to me time and time again. There are a total of, I think, 10 Descendants books, and 4 of them have made it to the top of the New York Times bestseller list. So you want to look them up on Amazon and purchase them, because they are great reads for anyone who's a fan of Descendants and who really appreciates the franchise. It will give you a greater appreciation for the franchise, I do believe. And if you have the opportunity to read the classic books like Alice in Wonderland, which was first produced in the 1800s, and books like Aladdin, you should. Because in all honesty, books based off The Little Mermaid and Alice in Wonderland are a true exemplification of just how far these fairy tales have come and how much of a legacy they actually have. And I really appreciate how Descendants really tries to emphasize that and give a greater appreciation to every character who was ever a part of it. I will forever miss Ruby Rose Turner. I will forever and always say this on my show, because Ruby Rose Turner is just a kind soul with such a beautiful personality. I have always believed that Ruby Rose Turner has had so much to offer to the Descendants franchise. I will forever and always believe that, and I will forever and always support Ruby Rose Turner no matter what she has coming forth in life. But I think her story is far from over, and I will forever and always miss her because of how much she offered to the Descendants franchise. Let me just say that. Ruby was so kind, and that song Life is Sweeter When You Are, I don't know how you can do a remix with Kylie Cantrell and Leomani Segura's voices on the soundtrack for it, because this song was specifically written for Ruby Rose Turner, and Ruby brought it to life in a way that no other Descendants star was able to bring it to life, and it was the catchiest Descendants song ever. It was this bubblegum type like song that kind of got stuck in your head, and it's been stuck in my head for forever. Every morning, I kid you not, I listen to that song before I jump on this podcast to really motivate me to say nothing but good things about Descendants and zombies, because I look for incentive. And Life is Sweeter When You Are ultimately became my favorite song from the Descendants franchise because of how powerful of a song it actually was. It really brought this movie to life in a way that I don't think any other title song could have ever done it. Red was a very powerful song too, but I think the most powerful song out of it, really demonstrating how far kindness can go in a person's lifetime, was Life is Sweeter When You Are. Red was a beautiful song. Shuffle of Love was a beautiful song. Get Your Hands Dirty was a beautiful song. I think there were 8 songs on the original Descendants Rise of Red score, but this song was very powerful, and I think like 13 characters were emphasized on by the time this song premiered on the Descendants soundtrack, and it was just so beautiful. It made this movie so much worth watching, and I can see why everybody was so excited counting down to the Rise of Red premiere, because of how beautiful the songs were and how much of an inspiration you got from them. It inspired you to be a kinder person. You can't tell me it didn't inspire you to become a kinder person. And Red songs inspired you to be a stronger person, to really stand up for what you believed in. And I really agreed with that, because this movie was beautiful. Everything from the color schemes to the plot, everything just made perfect sense. And I think that there is so much more of a story to be told, because as I've said many times, you just can't tell a story in 90 minutes and think you've completed it. There's still so much more of a story to be told, and I am incredibly excited to see where we go from here. And I think that Mila Manheim and Meg Donnelly being executive producers for Zombies now is really going to offer more to the franchise, because they didn't really have enough creative say when they were 16 years old when Zombies first premiered. Nobody knew what direction this was going to be taken in, how many supernatural creatures were going to be in the Zombies franchise at this point. It was really just a one-shot wonder in the minds of a lot of people. You know, if Zombies was a success, we'll make another one. If not so much, we'll just let it fade off into obscurity. And I think that they knew Zombies was going to be a huge hit for Disney. It was called a copycat off Descendants. It was a mirror image of Descendants. It was just something to try to counteract Descendants. But, bringing both franchises together, given their popularity, was a huge move and a huge gamble, but it really fell through. And the thing was, everybody felt inspired by Zombies. Everybody felt like they were a part of something so spectacular. And I really enjoyed it. Watching the Zombie Spore Dawn of the Vampires premiere was something I will never ever forget, because it gave me the opportunity to meet all of you. It gave me the opportunity to talk to you about Descendants and Zombies every morning of my life. And even if it is for the rest of my life, I wouldn't have it any other way, because the Descendants and Zombies fans are incredibly supportive, and they will love you to the death. They will love you for forever, no matter how many Descendants and Zombies videos you pump out on your YouTube channel every single day. And I go above and beyond the requirements of every YouTube creator out there to make sure there is a great Descendants and Zombies video uploaded for you at least once every day on this YouTube channel, because I believe you deserve to hear nothing but the best about your favorite Descendants and Zombies stars. I don't really care about the rumors of Kylie Cantrell and Malia Baker's friendship being blown out of the water, being blown out of proportion, saying this is happening or this is happening. I hear this all the time, but I think it has a lot to do with trying to create controversy within the franchise, try to create something that isn't necessarily to be created. I think right now, the more support that we show Descendants and Zombies, the better off we're all going to be, and we're all going to reach a mutual understanding of just how impactful and how important and how special these franchises are meant to us for what feels like forever, even if that means I have to create videos every single day of my life about Descendants and Zombies. I put $5,000 behind this YouTube channel, and I have had no regrets since. I have had no regrets, because I feel like I've been attending Ordown Prep every day for the rest of my life, ever since I first arrived on YouTube. Last year I promised you I was going to upload a bunch of Descendants and Zombies videos, and I fell through with that promise, and I feel so honored to be able to sit in front of this podcast microphone every morning of my life at just 10:15 a.m. in the morning, already having 2 uploaded videos on Descendants and Zombies. Is just an honor of my life that I will never ever forget, because I know this will never happen again. This is really history that we are a part of, and because I know it's never going to happen again for me, I feel so honored to have talked about Descendants and Zombies in the way that it's been meant to be talked about for a very long time. While people choose to criticize it, I try to shy away from that, and I try to offer you the best reviews that I can possibly give you about Descendants and Zombies, because I feel as if you deserve better. You deserve to hear positive reviews of your favorite stars. Meg Donnelly, Mila Manheim, Malachi Burton, Freya Skye, whose story is so beautiful and still has so much more to be explored. With the introduction of mermaids, pirates, sirens, witches possibly, there are so many ways this can go, and I can see why so many people would be fans of it. People are obsessed with zombies. I've heard parents leaving comments on different forums, even on this YouTube channel, about how their daughters are obsessed with zombies. And I'm here to tell you there's nothing wrong with that. You should be proud to have a daughter who is actually obsessed with zombies, because it will teach her to be stronger. It will teach her to be fearless. It will teach her to stand up for what she believes in, and I think you should support that. Instead of discouraging their hopes and dreams of ever seeing a second or a third Zombies produced, let them know there will be, and encourage the hopes and dreams of somebody going further with Zombies and Descendants, because we still have so much of a story yet to be told, and one that I'm excited to be a part of, because you guys have made me your voice of Descendants and Zombies, and I can honestly tell you with 100% confidence and certainty behind my voice that this is the greatest honor of my life and the most fun that I've had in my entire life. I've never had so much fun with an audience as I've had with the Descendants and Zombies fans, because they always subscribe, they always like your videos, and they show love. They let Jonathan Clarke know that they love his videos by the kind comments that you leave for the videos on Zombies and Descendants. And I've noticed, in particular here recently, my Zombies videos have been garnering a lot of attention and getting a lot of subscribers. And I just want to say thank you so much. I'm up to 2,793 subscribers as of this morning, I do believe. And it is really a huge honor of mine to be able to sit in front of this podcast microphone to have reviewed Descendants and Zombies in the way that I think it's meant to be reviewed for a very long time. So I have 2 more videos yet to come out later on today. At some point today they will be uploaded. I'm inviting you to join me for the 3rd and 4th video that will be uploaded by sunset this evening. Thank you so much for all the love and support you have shown this YouTube channel, which I hope you will continue to show for the foreseeable future, because I can't do this without you. It's one thing for me to upload my thoughts on Descendants and Zombies in video after video, but it's an entirely different experience when somebody actually supports what you believe about Descendants and Zombies, and you guys have done that for me. Every single time I upload a video, you come out in unison, and you're always hitting the like button. You're always always showing me that you love these videos, and as long as you show me that you love these videos will forever and always be produced for each and every single person who has ever proudly said they are a fan of Descendants and Zombies. And I know there are a lot of fans of Descendants and Zombies I have yet to meet, and I'm really looking forward to having the opportunity to meet each and every one of you. But in order for me to know you're out there, you have to hit the subscribe button, and you have to show your love and support for this YouTube channel, because this YouTube channel would have never happened if not for each and every one of you. And I just want to say from my heart to yours, thank you so much for taking a chance on me when you really didn't have to, because when you could have quit on me, you didn't. You trusted in me, you saw the good person that existed inside of my heart, and for that I just want to say thank you from my heart to yours, because you really made this YouTube channel happen for me. You gave me a second chance, you revitalized my career, and I can't thank you enough for that. So I will be back later on today with another video on either Descendants or Zombies. I have a lot to say where it goes, and I hope you will join me for it. Until then, be kind to one another, keep kindness in your heart, and we will talk again in just a few hours from now.